As China's national flag was raised in Hong Kong, it marked a new era. The drifting city was finally returning to its motherland after over 150 years of British colonial rule. However, even after Hong Kong came back as part of China, many young Hong Kongers are finding themselves in a fraught relationship with the Chinese mainland, even to the point where people are worrying about a national security law for Hong Kong, which is meant to protect the safety of the city. Why does Hong Kong need this legislation? And how will this impact the implementation of one country, two systems and Hong Kong's future? Article 23 of the Hong Kong Basic Law states that the Special Administrative Region shall enact laws on its own to prohibit any act of treason, secession, sedition, subversion against the central government. Under the One Country, Two Systems principle, national security matters fall under the authority of the central government. Any country would not allow actions that will threaten its state security. That Beijing chose to entrust the legislative power to Hong Kong was already a sign of trust. However, efforts to fix the legal loopholes have faced much backlash.
曾经在2002年、2003年的时候呢，尝试进行了国家安全立法，也就是说呢，就23条呢进行本地立法。但是呢，后来因为有抗议的声音啊，有各种反对啊，最后呢就被搁置了。从那个时候搁置呢，一直到现在，香港回归23年。到现在都没有维护国家安全的立法，没有维护国家安全方面的完整的法律。也就是说呢，在维护国家安全方面呢，香港在这方面呢，法律上是有缺失的，至少是不完整的。
Of course, 2003 perhaps was not the best time to push the legislation. SARS was spreading across the city. The economy was sluggish due to the epidemic and the aftermath of the Asian financial crisis. A sense of loss and anxiety had prevailed in the city. Article 23 became the scapegoat for the collective anger in the city. The opposition had exploited the chance to politicize the article further and described Beijing's concern as a threat to one country, two systems, and even described it as an enemy of Hong Kong's freedom. As for the one country, two systems principle, some Hong Kongers have forgotten that one country is the prerequisite. Too much emphasis on the two systems part has further widened the trust gap between the mainland and Hong Kong.
中央政府呢是要坚持一国两制，在这方面呢是坚定不移的。我们讲呢是既要把实行社会主义的内地建设好，也要把实行资本主义的香港建设好。对于中央来说呢，这是中央必然肩负的一个任务。而对于特区政府来说呢，最重要的呢也是与中央呢要重建信任。这种信任呢，首先呢就体现在呢是对一国的认识上。也就是说呢，你只有从内心呢真正的去认识一国、接纳一国呢，才能够真正的让中央放心。在中央放心的情况下呢，两制的空间呢才会更大。
Events in recent years have only proved the urgency of the legislation. The unrest in 2019 crippled Hong Kong's politics and economy. The city's diversity and freedom are severely challenged as people become more divided and polarized. Violence paralyzed the city. Public transportation and facility were destructed. Innocent citizens were lit on fire and killed by bricks from the rioters. The Hong Kong Polytechnic University was turned into a battlefield, and police were violently attacked with arrows and petrol bombs. Protesters even waved American and British flags. The pro-independence separatists saw another opportunity to collude with foreign groups and separate Hong Kong from China. When national security is a question of concern, Beijing has to step in.
From the time that Hong Kong returned to China in 1997, we've seen a lot of foreign interference in Hong Kong politics. as well as local Hong Kong political activists who are unhappy with the situation. They've used the principle of one country, two systems to create disturbance in Hong Kong and to undermine China's sovereignty over Hong Kong, as well as undermining Chinese sovereignty in general. This legislation is intended to improve one country, two systems by closing a loophole in national security and preventing any types of interference that jeopardizes China's national security.
Hong Kong returned to the motherland 23 years ago. It is time that national security in Hong Kong stops being an unsettled issue. The blatant interference from the US through sanctions and legislation have only further proved the necessity of the legislation. During a global economic recession, and as Sino-US relations deteriorate, Hong Kong's future lies with the Chinese mainland. The central government will like to see an open and vibrant Hong Kong, and the foundation is national security and integrity.